Okay, so moving on. Martin Archer. Hey, Martin. Whose show have you not pundited on, but you'd like to, and whose show would you like the opportunity to pundit on more? To my knowledge, you've only ever been mentioned by Rush, but he's never been on a show or on the same stage together. He has Mark Steyn as a guest host sometimes, and you, Bill, could do a 3-hour show with no problem. Can you see that, or other much wider exposure ever happening? Well, those are two different questions there, and I haven't done nearly as much TV as I could have, or probably should have, or should. It's still kind of a mystery to me. I haven't really been on Fox, but that's just a marketing issue, and I'm just not very good at it. And if you are good at it and you want to talk, I'd be happy to talk to you about a percentage. I haven't done a lot of TVs or a lot of interviews, but I have done a fair number of speaking events. I've introduced Mark Levin twice, introduced Rush. Introduced Glenn Beck, got a chance to talk to Rush. And I know Ben's got that Sunday afternoon show. I wouldn't mind doing that. I try to do all of the ones that I'm asked to do, and I don't think I've ever turned anybody down. Got a call from Crowder once, it's a year ago or something, and I think he was like I felt like he's got a guest booked, and then that guest cancels, and then he calls somebody else, and when that guy cancels, then he calls me. I'd like to do it. I have a lot of fun interviewing people, but I have more fun being interviewed. I really had a good time with Dave Rubin. That was a fun episode, and I'd love to do them all. So you can send your letters and cards, and we'll just start a movement where the public demands it. Be fun. I love doing interviews, and I especially love doing interviews with people who really they can roll the ball forward. I have to tell you, I was really kind of sad. I'm not going to mention any names or anything, and I mean this sincerely. I have the greatest respect for this. I was supposed to be doing a Skype interview next day or two with somebody for an hour, and I was looking forward to it a lot. And they did something about showed me who was going to be either talking on the same hour or advertising during that hour, and it was a couple of 9/11 deniers. It was like a 9/11 engineers, and the mysteries of 9/11. And I just said, to Shelley, please express my sincere regrets that I'm not able to do that show or any other show. I'm just not going to do it. They're great people, and I admire them, and I wish them the very best. But not only am I not going to do that show, I'm not going to do any show about that. I mean, to me, when people say things, well, how do you explain Building 7? It's, I don't know what to say. Two of the tallest buildings in the world fell on it, cut it in half, it burned for 5 hours, and then it collapsed. And this is a sign that somebody launched a missile that none of us saw. Sorry. But anyway, there you go. All right, so I would like to do all of those. We're back to the punch to the yapper. I will go ahead and answer that. It didn't occur to me at the time. I genuinely couldn't think of anybody. But I have to say the one person that, in my experience, that is probably on the top list of a punch to the yapper for me would be Mark Steyn. And I've never spoke to Mark Steyn. I've never talked with him. We've never met or shaken hands or anything. But when Mark Steyn had his show on CRTV, he stole my logo. He stole my homunculus. He stole this guy. And this guy was animated on the beginning of his show. And I know it was this guy and not just some other guy, because if you look carefully, you'll see that the way that my friend Buster, who's a graphic artist, the way he drew the collar is really kind of unusual. He didn't draw all the way, just drew lines suggesting the collar and the spread of the tie and the pocket handkerchief and all that. So I saw this animation for the beginning of a show, and I thought, okay. So I just said, all right. Probably what happened is he had his graphic guys, probably not even conservatives, and they're thinking, what the hell do these conservatives look like? Did a little tour, found the website, liked that angle, and did it. And so I basically wrote to him or them, not personally to him, but to the producer of the show, and very politely explained it, and not only politely explained it, gave them a graceful bow out. I just said basically what I just said to you. Look, I'm sure it's just some guy on the graphics team who just saw it and liked it, but this, and there was some other thing, something about the shape of the knot. There was two really, really specifically identifying things here. And we got back a letter saying it's not, we didn't take it from you, and no. And then that knocked my, my atomic bomb afterburner mind into gear, and I started to do a detailed analysis of these things graphically, and I dropped the friendly tone, and I pointed out these other things and so on, and I pointed out that it was actually harming me, that there's not an enormous number or unlimited number of conservative pundits, and that this had been my my logo for the longest time. It wasn't trademarked, but there it was. And then they came back and they altered the collar. And then they claimed that there was nothing there. And then my response and our attorney's response was, look, the fact that you altered it is an indication that you stole it. He showed you posts, time-stamped posts, my attorney speaking, that all of us happened. I didn't want any money or anything. I just wanted him to take my logo down, Anyway, it just, I was really pretty surprised and disappointed at the combative attitude we got, because, like I said, we not only did not go in there guns drawn, we went in there our hearts filled with the 11th commandment, thou shalt not attack other Republicans or other conservatives. And I was really pretty disappointed, and I got pretty upset about it, pretty angry about it. And we were in the middle of escalating this thing, dealing with CRTV, when Steyn's show got canceled. That took a lot, not a lot, it pretty much took the fight away. Somebody just told me in the comments stream he still uses it. I don't care anymore. But I suspect that on some level, once somebody has a legal issue with your logo, I suspect that on some level Mark Steyn must have been consulted about this, Mark, this guy says this, or what do you want to do? So somebody said, fight it. And then I heard, not only anecdotally, but through a number of published news reports about his behavior on that show, and just, not rehearsing, not showing up, late, all kinds of, sort of egregious charges on his expense account. Didn't pay his production company, never paid his production company, left them holding the bag for tens of thousands of dollars of stuff. And I remember thinking, that's just really surprising and kind of a shame. But there you go. It's probably nothing else to blame for it, but the fact that he's Canadian. It's well known that Canadians are just a bunch of low-life liars, criminals, and assorted villains who have no respect at all for decency and good manners. So anyway, that's been quite a while ago. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.